A little bit of emotion slowly spread in the silent hall, and then continued to gather together, and finally broke out in an instant. Master Jace, how did you do this? Yes, Master Jace, how did you do this? Miracles, oh my god, it's incredible. In the crowd, all the elixir masters were going crazy. They spoke anxiously, their faces were full of doubts, and their eyes were full of desire. According to the rules of the elixir master world, it was extremely impolite for them to directly ask a spiritual medicine master's secrets like this, but in the face of the huge shock before, they didn't care about anything. Just relying on 3 bottles of ordinary elixirs, which are no more than the 5th level high grade, can actually cure the spiritual backlash of Eludiba, an 8th level low-level imperial spiritual master. This kind of thing that almost violates the laws of elixirs makes it difficult for him to understand. What made them even more intolerable was that after taking the 3 bottles of spiritual potion, Master Eludiba not only cured the spiritual backlash in his body, but also improved his strength by 1 level, from the 8th level low level to the 8th level intermediate level. No one can imagine how powerful a spiritual potion is that can allow an Emperor Spirit Master to directly advance to the 1st level. But now Jason has done it, and he has done it with 3 bottles of the elixir that almost everyone present can prepare. This shocked all the elixirs present, and it was like the sky was falling. Average. Looking at the noisy scene and those pairs of eyes eager to gain knowledge, Jason couldn't help but smile bitterly on his face and said, "Actually, this is very simple." As soon as Jason spoke, the originally noisy hall, there was silence in an instant. All the elixir masters had flushed faces and red eyes, looking at Jason for a moment, like primary school students, obediently listening to the teacher on the podium. Actually, the so-called backlash of spiritual power is an uncontrollable phenomenon that occurs because the spiritual power gathered by the spiritual master during cultivation is too huge and exceeds the limit that the spiritual master's meridians can bear. Once this happens, this phenomenon will cause the meridians to have an instinctive resistance to the spiritual power, causing the two to be unable to be completely integrated. This is the case with Master Eludiba. Everyone nodded repeatedly and stared at Jason closely. Naturally, the elixir masters, understand the reason behind the backlash of spiritual power. There are many ways to treat this kind of spiritual backlash. The backlash potion that Gordon took out is the most classic potion that specializes in treating spiritual backlash. However, in addition to the backlash potion, we can also use according to the characteristics of spiritual power backlash. We can develop other elixirs that can treat spiritual power backlash. Having said this, Jason couldn't help but paused, and then asked, since the spiritual power backlash is that spiritual power and meridians cannot be integrated together, we just need to fuse them together, then that's it, isn't it? Under normal circumstances, the 5th level high-grade fusion potion is a spiritual potion that allows different spiritual powers to be fused together to increase the power of the spiritual master, but it also has the effect of harmoniously integrating spiritual power and meridians. Master Jace, the fusion potion has the effect you mentioned, but its effect is extremely shallow and cannot be integrated with the deep backlash of spiritual power. There is still a huge difference. It can't cure the spiritual backlash of the spiritual master at all. At this time, a gray-bearded spiritual medicine master couldn't help but wonder. As he said, although the fusion potion has this effect, it is not powerful and cannot cure the spiritual backlash. Otherwise, a bottle of 5th level high-grade fusion potion can relieve the spiritual master's spiritual backlash. Then the spiritual masters on the mainland, when encountering a backlash from spiritual power, how can one's complexion change? Yes, this old gentleman is right. Jason smiled and nodded. That's why I asked Master Eludiba to take the active potion and the softening potion before taking the fusion potion. 3. The top-grade activating potion can activate all the meridians and spiritual energy in the spiritual master's body and enhance the activity between them, while the 4th-grade top-grade softening potion can soften the spiritual power and meridians. On this basis, take the 5th level high-grade fusion potion. The combination of these three spiritual potions will first make the spiritual power and meridians active, then soften them, and finally fuse them to form a complete as a whole. It can make the spiritual power, meridians, and body in a spiritual master's body more harmoniously integrated, and completely heal the injuries caused by the backlash of spiritual power. After saying all this, Jason had a look on his face, looking at everyone with a calm smile. All the elixir masters in the hall were stunned. The active potion is active, the softening potion is soft, and finally the fusion potion is used to fuse. Such a process, they all murmured, and their confused faces gradually relaxed, their eyes became brighter, and finally they glowed. A terrifying light. Jason's method of treating spiritual backlash is like opening up a new route, opening a new door in front of these spiritual medicine masters. They, the elixir masters who have been regarded as elixir masters by countless people, learned for the first time that such a method can be used to treat spiritual backlash. The combination of three elixirs that are completely unrelated to the spiritual backlash can be cured. The spiritual power backfired, which was too miraculous for traditional elixir masters like them. It was like the impact of a revolution, which shocked them. A new path appeared in front of them, which fascinated them. Even Master Barandayan, who was a 7th-level intermediate elixir master and the elixir master of the Imperial Palace, was completely shocked. Seeing the performance of everyone on the field, Jason had a look of understanding on his face. No wonder they were so shocked. This kind of compound treatment method with multiple kinds of magical potions has not appeared in today's era. The current era is still limited to the period when a single magical potion treats a single disease. This kind of compound treatment method has not yet appeared. The treatment method did not become popular on the mainland until the establishment of the Lingdo Empire 1,000 years later. Master Jace at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in the crowd, and a master of elixirs said anxiously, "We can all understand the principles you mentioned before, but active potions and softening potions after all, potions are only 3rd level and 4th level elixirs. How did you make them work on Arutaba, an 8th level imperial spiritual master?" As soon as the elixir master expressed his doubts, everyone present, all the elixir masters have focused their attention on Jason. This question has been lingering in their hearts since the moment Aludaba took the elixir and it took effect, making them unable to understand it. It's concentration. Before Jason could say anything, Master Balandane said solemnly. Concentration? Master Balandane, can you be more specific? The people around looked at each other, still a little confused. The concentrations of the 3 bottles of spiritual elixirs that Master Jace took out earlier are all more than 100 times the normal elixirs of the same level, so they are effective against Aludaba, an 8th level imperial spiritual master. Master Balandane's face was extremely solemn. When Jason took out the 3 bottles of elixir, he felt something was wrong. At first, he didn't see anything wrong. But now that he thinks about it, those 3 bottles, the spiritual power fluctuations that the spiritual potion inadvertently escapes from the bottle mouth are too strong. How can ordinary 3rd and 4th level spiritual potions produce such an effect? A concentration of more than 100 times? All the elixir masters present were dumbfounded. They turned to look at Jason, only to see Jason nodded slightly. Master Balandane is absolutely right. The difference between his 3 bottles of spiritual potion is in concentration. Although the active potion is a 3rd level high-grade spiritual potion, it does not have much effect on an 8th level imperial spiritual master, but it is extremely concentrated. Hundreds of times higher concentration of active agents, but that may not be the case. Just like a shot of anesthetic used to anesthetize people may have no effect on a huge animal like an elephant, but if hundreds or even thousands of shots of anesthetic are compressed together, it will affect even dinosaurs, let alone elephants. Might be turned upside down. After learning the principle from Jason's mouth, all the elixir masters present suddenly realized it, but they couldn't help but smile bitterly in their hearts. They understood the principle, but they couldn't copy it at all. Although the active potion is only a third-level high-grade elixir, the active potion with a concentration hundreds of times higher than the normal concentration cannot be achieved by all the people present, even Balandayan, a 7th-level intermediate elixir master. Think about it, it is difficult for ordinary people to compress hundreds of bottles of active potions into one bottle. Master Jace, how did your 3 bottles of elixir allow Lord Eludiba to advance? Someone spoke up again. Let Master Eludiba advance? Jason was dumbfounded when he heard the elixir master's words. Lord Eludiba's promotion has nothing to do with me. In fact, Lord Eludiba has already reached the peak of the 8th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master in the past 10 years. It was only because of the injury caused by the backlash of spiritual power. He was unable to exert his full strength, which resulted in his inability to advance to the intermediate level of Emperor Spiritual Master. Now, after the injury from the spiritual power backlash is cured, he will naturally be promoted to the intermediate level of Emperor Spirit Master. I mean, those 3 bottles of spirit. It's incredible that the potion can actually promote Master Eludiba from a low-level Emperor Spiritual Master to an intermediate Emperor Spiritual Master. All the spiritual medicine masters suddenly realized in their hearts. No one present noticed that Prince Tyria, who had been standing quietly aside without speaking during the entire process, was always looking at Jason, and at the same time, there was a meaningful meaning in his eyes. After Jason explained everything clearly, all the elixir masters present showed their enlightenment. Their eyes when looking at Jason changed from disdain at the beginning of the banquet to awe and respect now. The world of elixir masters, like the world of spiritual masters, respects the strong. All elixir masters will only respect those who are more accomplished in elixir medicine than themselves, regardless of age, gender, national boundaries, or even race. The masters of elixirs masters like them were fascinated by Jason's previous accomplishments in elixirs and medicines, and it also gave them a lot of inspiration. Thinking of the contempt and disdain in Jason's eyes when he first took out the 3 bottles of elixir as gifts, and even said some sarcastic words, these elixir masters were so ashamed that they almost found their way out. Drill down. Everyone, let the banquet continue. Let's all have fun today, and don't be polite, haha. In the hall, the Erudiba Patriarch laughed heartily. His face was filled with a happy smile, and his whole person was full of energy. Today, he not only allowed Jason to cure the spiritual backlash that had been bothering him for 10 years, but he was also promoted from a low-level Emperor Spiritual Master to an intermediate Emperor Spiritual Master. The excitement, and joy in his heart, it's simply beyond words. After hearing the announcement from Chief Eludiba, the chiefs of the major families all stepped forward to congratulate each other. And the elixir masters looked at Jason with fiery eyes. Master Jace, I am Bess, the chief elixir of the Tausi family. I have a little question to ask Master Jace. When the mugwort is heated in the solution, I always cannot control the heat. I don't know, Jace Master, I am Gemadu, the honorary president of the Panacea Medicine Association of Doro Province. When I was preparing the Wind Scroll Potion, Master Jace, in an instant, countless masters of elixirs gathered around him, with fiery eyes and loud shouts. Everyone, Jason yelled with a wry smile on his face. Make a sound. Many of the elixir masters who were originally crazy suddenly calmed down and looked at Jason eagerly to hear what he had to say. Everyone, Jason stroked his forehead and said gloomily, you don't know how. Do you think these 3 bottles of elixir were all prepared by me? Isn't it? The elixir masters in the hall looked at me and I looked at you, and they all expressed doubts. Do you think this is possible? Jason couldn't help but smile bitterly. I've said it before. I got these 3 bottles of elixir after hearing about Master Eludiba's illness. I tried every means to get it. Although the 3 bottles of elixir just now are simple, they are the masters present may not be able to prepare it. How can I do it at my current age? Besides, everyone present should be able to see my strength. With my 5th level advanced, the strength of the sect spirit master. Among the masters present, the one with the lowest level is higher than me. Do you think this is possible? In order to make his words more credible, Jason always likes to hide his level. At this time, he completely released his spiritual power level. In this era, where the spiritual power level is always above the level of the spiritual medicine master, nothing is more convincing than the spiritual power level. It's possible, of course it's possible. I heard that Master Jace recently killed the 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, the Cornhill clan leader, and I think the current 5th level high-level sect Spiritual Master is the master. You are deliberately hiding your strength. Someone in the crowd murmured. All the elixir masters on the side also nodded. In fact, when Jason was explaining earlier, his elixir knowledge was too powerful. If he were only a 5th level senior sect, the level of spiritual master and spiritual medicine master is not higher than the 5th level senior spiritual medicine master. No one will believe it. However, the difficulty in preparing the previous 3 bottles of spiritual potion was indeed quite huge. Even Master Barandaean, who was a 7th level intermediate imperial spiritual master, might not be able to prepare it. Everyone was a little doubtful of Jason's statement. Seeing that he had exposed his true strength, everyone present did not believe it, which made Jason speechless. Many times, the truth is more difficult to believe than lies, and Jason has encountered it now. Such a situation. Okay, everyone, let's have a drink at the banquet. As for academics, let's put it aside for the time being. I think after what happened before, Master Jace is also tired, so it's better not to disturb him. It's better. At this time, Eludiba stood up and said seriously, if anyone talks to Master Jace about spiritual potions or something, they won't give me Eludiba face. At this point, Eludiba's cold gaze immediately scanned the faces of everyone on the field. Ahem, that's natural. After hearing what the Erudiba Patriarch said, these elixir masters, although they were not guilty, reluctantly dispersed and freed Jason from the crowd. Although they are still doubtful about Jason's statement. But since Jason didn't want to say it, and Lord Eludiba obviously protected Jason, everyone didn't bother Jason too much. But the next moment, they all focused on Kester, Locke, Loken and others beside the PS lobby. Since Master Jace is a member of the Mori family. If we establish a relationship with the Mori family, are we afraid that we will not find opportunities to communicate with Master Jace in the future? Anyway, Lord Eludiba only said not to disturb Master Jace, but not the Kester clan leader and the others. When I think of this, these elixir masters can't help but feel hot again. Aha, Chief Kester, is this Master Loken? He is indeed handsome and talented. Ahem, Chief Kester, please forgive me, Lord of Black Iron City. I heard that the Mori family is also in the refined iron business. We have several large-scale refined iron mines in the jurisdiction of Black Iron City, which produce a large amount of high-quality refined iron every year. Tianhong City, it's not far from our Black Iron City. If Chief Kester is interested, why don't we have a chat? I promise to give you the best price. Oh, isn't this Master Locke? In the lower province of Doro, Bulls, the chief elixir of the Piccolo family, heard that Master Locke was good at purifying the elements of materials. He is quite accomplished. Why don't we discuss it carefully when we have time? So, in the previous banquet, he had always been sitting in a remote corner, without any popularity. He was just silently communicating with the Lord of Aldrin, beside Kester and others. At this moment, but there was a huge crowd. Looking at the family patriarchs and elixir masters who were all smiling and enthusiastic, Kester was delighted and at the same time, completely dumbfounded. The families that can participate in the birthday party of Governor Eludiba are at least big families with 7th level low-level imperial spiritual masters. In the past, when the Mori family appeared in front of them, they usually ignored them. But at this moment, these families, the clan leaders, are extremely enthusiastic, with sincere smiles on their faces. And the elixir masters are even more enthusiastic. This made Kester, the patriarch of a small family, a little difficult to control for a while, but Kester was also extremely experienced after all, and soon he completely integrated into the crowd, chatting and laughing. But Locke was even more simple. For the elixir masters, the only topic when they get together is the topic of elixir science. Although Locke has only been promoted to the 5th formation senior elixir master for more than a year, and he still relied on the special method mentioned by Jason. Promotion, but in such a long period of contact with Jason, he also learned a lot. Now he exchanges his experiences with everyone, and frequently gives many unique insights to the elixir masters, which makes those elixir masters the medicine masters could not help but secretly marvel. As for Jason, he stood for a while with Eludiba, Mu, Master Balandaean and others, and then hid in a corner by himself. Time passed slowly. In the following time, it was like two groups appeared in the entire hall. One is Eludiba, the protagonist of today's birthday party, and the other is the Kester patriarch of the Mori family and others. The place where it is located. Compared with the two, the Mori family is actually more lively. After all, a group of patriarchs gather together and have mutual understanding, but they are more relaxed. Seeing this scene, Jason in the corner nodded with satisfaction. Jason, therefore, a magical elixir, was specially prepared to treat the injuries caused by the backlash of Eludiba's spiritual power. In addition to being grateful to Eludiba for saving him, the other purpose was to give the Mori family a backer to save them when he left. No matter what happens in the future, with Eludiba's relationship now, the Mori family has a firm hold on Chi'er province. After all, the Salem Empire is not like the territory of chaos, where various families fight openly and secretly. Awesome, a disagreement would result in a big fight. After all, the Salem Empire was a fairly peaceful place. What Jason didn't know was that while he was watching silently in the corner, many people in the hall were paying attention to him from time to time, and Prince Tyeria of the Empire was watching carefully. It took him a long time. Chief Eludiba, I heard that Master Jace killed the Cornhill clan leader of the Natan family in Chi'er province not long ago. I wonder what happened. Prince Tyeria suddenly said to him. Eludiba on the side said curiously. Cornhill? Eludiba smiled and said, this matter starts from the competition between the Mori family and the Loki family in Hongqing that day. Seeing Prince Tyeria interested, Eludiba immediately told the grievances between Jason and Cornhill, and then said, because Master Jesse killed Cornhill, the city lord of Blue Moon City in Daluo province a few days ago, Wade Wuchi from the Mofa family actually ignored the laws of the Empire and came to our Rainbow City to kill Master Jace. If I hadn't happened to arrive that day, Master Jace would have been in danger. Eludiba said, extremely angry. Eludiba's face looked extremely angry. On that day, Eludiba saved Jason just because people from other provinces came to Chi'er province to evacuate. He wanted to protect his shortcomings. At the same time, he also had a trace of Jason. Curious, but now that Jace has become his benefactor, the anger in his heart is different. If he had known what happened today, Eludiba would have slapped Wade Wuchi to death. With his status, although the other party is a 7th level senior imperial spiritual master, it may be a bit troublesome, but it is not a big deal. Wade Wuchi from the Mofa family? Prince Tyeria shook the red wine in the goblet and murmured in his mouth. Then he walked aside and gestured to a close guard who was following him. The guard immediately stepped forward and came forward. Come, Prince Tyeria ordered a few times in his ear, and the guard nodded immediately, and then walked out. After the guard walked out of the Phil family's hall, he went directly to the Phil family to arrange for Prince Tyeria and his party. The door of a room in the courtyard. Sir Rodriguez. The guard stood at the door and said. What's the matter? A cold voice came from the room, giving people a deep and hoarse feeling. His Royal Highness Prince Tyeria would like to ask you to do something for him now. The guard said. Come in. The indifferent and cold voice sounded again, and the door of the originally closed room quietly opened, as if a huge black mouth opened. The guard nervously swallowed the saliva, and then walked into the room. A moment later, a ray of blue light suddenly shot out from the room. The speed was so fast that it was almost elusive. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the sky, leaving only a visual trace. The guard who had entered earlier walked out of the room at this time, the tension on his face not yet completely gone. Sir Rodriguez's strength has improved again. Every time I see him, it makes people feel as if their blood is frozen. The guard looked at the direction where the blue light disappeared, murmured to himself, and stood in the courtyard. A moment before walking out of the yard. Eludiba's birthday party lasted from morning to evening. Normally, the guests would leave after lunch, but today Eludiba was in a really good mood. Great, I kept everyone until dinner. It's rare for Eludiba to be so polite, and no one dared to disobey him even after the leader of Eludiba spoke. What's more, staying here can be with many people in the empire. These people are extremely happy to communicate with their families. Only Jason, letting this workaholic who only immersed himself in the laboratory preparing elixirs to socialize in his previous life, was more painful than killing him. In the end, because he was too bored, by the afternoon, he was actually the man hid in a corner and started practicing, which made Eludiba and the others laugh bitterly. Only a cultivation madman like Jason could do such a thing. Under Eludiba's deliberate instructions, no one disturbed him in the hall. In fact, even Eludiba, if Rudiba doesn't give orders, these people are not idiots and will not do those annoying things without knowledge. However, Jason's arduous training still caused many people present to reflect. They couldn't help but sigh that the reason why Jason was able to kill Cohen Hill, a 7th-level low-level Imperial spiritual master, was not just because of his genius. That kind of hard-working spirit that always takes time to practice is worth learning from them. After dinner, all the guests dispersed one by one and returned to their respective residences in Chien City in a carriage. However, Jason and the others received a warm invitation from Eludiba, and in the end they couldn't refuse it. People stayed in the Phil family's mansion. Lord Jace, if it weren't for you today, we would really be returning to the courtyard arranged by Eludiba for Jason and others, Chief Kester watching Jason speak out with great excitement. Everything that happened today was completely beyond the scope of his imagination. Originally, in Kester's plan, he should be extremely low-key today, and it is extremely rare to get to know one or two family patriarchs who hold real power. Well, it would be best to finalize 2 more family businesses with these big families. This is the best result. However, the real story of the real capital still seems to be in a dream. The big families, they all took the initiative to get acquainted with each other, and even through big business deals one after another, without considering whether the Mori family's strength could bear it. Some businesses were even so big that Kester invested all the family's funds. Investing in it can only be considered a small part of it. After all, compared with those big families, the Mori family can only be regarded as a small family. What made Kester even more speechless was that when he said that the family's funds were not enough, basically, all the family patriarchs patted him on the shoulder generously and said it didn't matter. As long as the Mori family joined in these businesses, they could get dividends. As for the funds, they would wait until the Mori family was rich before investing. There is such a way to do business. The method immediately left Kester speechless. How could this be doing business? This was simply sending money directly. Kester knew that the reason why the patriarchs of these big families were so enthusiastic was entirely because of Lord Eludiba and for Jace's sake. Others don't know where the 3 bottles of elixir came from, but Kester, Locke and others know it clearly. When they think of what they learned from the banquet, the 3 bottles of elixir are combined into a 7th-level intermediate elixir. The Emperor's master Balian was unable to prepare it, and Kester and Locke felt extremely shocked. Faced with Kester's gratitude, Jason just smiled. He was so familiar with the Mori family that this matter was nothing to him, and he also believed that with Kester's sophistication, facing the enthusiasm of the major families, you may be a little uncomfortable at first, but you will soon get used to it. After a few brief words with Kester and the others, Jason returned to his room. Now he had almost arranged the Mori family's affairs. After 2 days, he was ready to leave. He left the Salem Empire and headed to the Kingdom of Orlando. He had already been delayed in the Salem Empire for quite a long time. "Master, His Royal Highness Prince Tyeria wishes to see you." At this moment, Loken's soft voice came from outside the door. "Prince Tyeria wants to see you?" Jason opened the door and saw Loken standing at the door. Standing next to him were the 4th Princes Tyeria and Ballandain of the Salem Empire. "Grandmaster. Master Jace, please forgive me for visiting late at night," Prince Tyeria said with a smile on his face. "Your Highness, you're welcome." "Your Highness, Master Ballandain, please come in." Jason invited the 2 of them in, but he was still confused as to why they came so late. As the Prince of the Salem Empire, Tyeria has a high status. Even if Eludiba and others see him, they must be extremely respectful. Master Ballandain is a 7th-level intermediate elixir master. The 2 of them stayed late at night. "Come here, something is definitely going on. Master Jace, we took the liberty of coming here today. We mainly hope that Master Jace can diagnose me. Others say that my talent is extremely poor and I am not suitable to be a spiritual master or elixir master by nature. I wonder if Master Jace has any. What can we do?" Prince Tyeria did not hesitate after entering the room and went straight to the point. His eyes looked straight at Jason, with incomparable sincerity in his eyes. Jason hesitated. "Master Jess, you don't have to be embarrassed. I just want you to diagnose me. No matter if you can do anything about it, Master. I will remember this sentiment. Whenever Master encounters any problems in the future, he can come to me. And there are, while I'm here, the Mori family and Chier province will never be intruded upon. I, Tyeria, guarantee this in the name of the Prince of the Empire." Emperor Tyeria's expression was serious and her attitude was extremely sincere. As the Prince of the Empire, Tyeria can be said to be quite pitiful. With his conditions, he can definitely compete for the future emperor, but his extremely poor talent makes it almost impossible for him. Over the years, Tyeria often went to various parts of the empire to issue orders on behalf of his father, His Majesty Peter. In fact, he was also looking for hope, even though all the masters of the Imperial Medicine Academy had diagnosed him as the entire empire the most outstanding and powerful group of elixir masters. They came to a conclusion, which was almost equivalent to a death sentence for Tyeria, but Tyeria never gave up. After Jason's performance at the banquet in Eludiba today, he was immediately excited. As the Prince of the Empire, Tyeria is well informed and knows that if you want to find hope when all the elixir masters of the Empire's Elixir Master Academy have reached a conclusion, those traditional elixir masters are simply not possibly. Only those elixir masters who have profound attainments and have taken a different approach in the study of elixirs can have such a glimmer of hope. But how hard it is to find such a person. The Imperial Elixir Academy has gathered almost most of the elixir geniuses in the entire empire, and Jason's appearance was like a meteor in the night sky, shocking him like lightning. Before. I'm just a 5th-level senior spiritual master. I can only take a look for you. As for the other things, I can't guarantee it. Looking at Tyeria's sincere eyes, Jason said. Although Jason, who has devoted himself to the study of spiritual medicine in both past and present lives, is not very good at dealing with people, as a pioneer of technical spiritual medicine, he can sense Ty in front of him with his observation ability that can see through people's souls. Leah meant no harm. From his eyes, Jason only saw desire, endless desire, the kind of desire that could not see hope, struggled in despair, but was not willing to give up. In addition, it was incomparable sincerity. Thank you, Master Jace, I really appreciate it. After hearing Jason's return, Tyeria immediately looked extremely excited and asked at the same time, Master Jace, do you need me to do anything? Jason smiled, you just need to sit there obediently. As he spoke, Jason's right hand was already on Tyuria's head. Master Ballandine was immediately startled. Just as he was about to step forward, Tyuria glared back fiercely. Spiritual consciousness spread out quickly. Jason closed his eyes and delicately sensed the body of Tyuria Emperor Mao. As the perception continued to deepen, Jason's face showed a trace of relief at first, and a moment later, it wrinkled deeply. Jason, who was a 9th-level elixir master in his previous life, had naturally encountered many cases of talentlessness like Prince Tyuria's. In general, lack of talent was mainly manifested in two aspects. One is understanding, which is the understanding of a spiritual master's cultivation, which is reflected in whether he can quickly perceive the spiritual elements in the air, whether he can quickly understand the requirements for the operation of spiritual techniques, etc. The other is the body, which is a body suitable for cultivation. It manifests itself in the following aspects: after sensing the spiritual element, whether the body can quickly absorb the spiritual element between heaven and earth; when practicing the spiritual art, whether the body can quickly condense spiritual power, whether the meridians are wide and unobstructed, whether the body is strong, etc. The cultivation of a spiritual master is like running a computer. If you want to run calculations quickly, both the software and the hardware must be powerful. If there is a problem with either of them, it will make it impossible to practice. For a spiritual medicine master, if he wants to cure a person with extremely poor talent, he usually hopes that the spiritual master is poor in physical condition, rather than having excellent health and extremely poor understanding. Comprehension is an elusive thing. Most of it is formed innately and is extremely difficult to change. Of course, this does not mean that there is no way at all. It is just that among the many elixirs, the elixirs that can change people's understanding are of a high level. Just like the imperial potion that was used to treat Renault's soul injury in the territory of chaos, the enlightenment potion is a spiritual potion that can improve people's understanding after being taken. However, the enlightenment potion is mainly used by spiritual masters after they advance to the 7th level imperial spiritual master. It has an excellent effect in understanding spiritual power attributes. Although it is also useful for ordinary spiritual masters, the effect is not so obvious. The physical aspect is much simpler. It is nothing more than some special constitution and meridians. For example, Jason's two apprentices, Archimedes, have extremely high understanding, but the meridians in the body are extremely weak. After passing through after the bodybuilding spirit fluid changed the meridians, the speed of promotion suddenly increased. Loken is a side effect of the powerful wood spirit body. For spiritual medicine masters, Loken's situation is quite serious, but even if Jason did not get the blood abyss from the secret realm of the spirit pool, essence cannot create a wood spirit pool. Jason can also use the 6th grade high grade wood vitality potion to heal Loken, but it takes a bit long to consume. Therefore, Jason is sensing Tai. When he was Prince Tyuria, the first thing he sensed immediately was what was wrong with Tyuria's so-called extremely poor talent. In Jason's perception, the souls emanating from Prince Tyuria's mind were, although the fluctuations were weak, they were extremely clear, indicating that at least there was no big problem with Prince Tyuria's understanding, so the problem should be with his body. After learning about this situation, Jason's face immediately showed a trace of ease. However, after feeling the body of Prince Tyuria carefully, Jason was stunned. In his perception, Prince Tyuria's body was also extremely healthy, and there was nothing wrong with him at all. But thinking about it, if Prince Tyuria has a physical problem, as the Prince of the Salem Empire, the elixir masters in the Salem Empire's Elixir Master Academy may not be able to find the cloud spirit fruit to prepare a regeneration potion, but with the background of the Salem Empire as one of the 4 major empires in the mainland, it is not very difficult to prepare an imperial-level potion that has the same effect as the regeneration potion and can improve the body. However, those masters of elixirs, the inability to diagnose and treat Prince Tyuria shows that the problem is definitely not that simple. With normal understanding, there is nothing wrong with his body, so what exactly is the problem? Jason frowned. In fact, if Jason had enough strength now, he would be able to prepare an 8th level Emperor level talent potion without the need for diagnosis at all. In later generations, 8th level Emperor level talent potions were also called genius potions. After taking them, anyone without talent and spiritual power could become a genius like heroes. If they continued to practice hard, the minimum final achievement is to successfully advance to the 7th level of the Imperial Spiritual Master realm. It's just that gifted potions are extremely difficult to prepare among 8th level Emperor level potions. With Jason's current strength, although his physical strength has reached the level of an 8th level intermediate Emperor Spiritual Master, he still can't prepare it. And even if Jason's ability can be prepared, it would be impossible for him to prepare it. First, it is extremely difficult to collect the materials for the talent potion. Second, if the 7th level Imperial potion is successfully prepared, it can cause strange phenomena in the world, and if the 8th level Imperial potion is successfully prepared, at this time, there will be a medicine disaster, and Jason's current strength, which can only reach the 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, cannot withstand it. In his previous life, when Jason was able to prepare an 8th level Emperor level elixir, he was surrounded by many strong men. With these experts, Jason could safely prepare an 8th level Emperor level elixir. However, nowadays, there is no reliable person around Jason. Although people like Eludaba were very good to him, once Jason showed the strength of the 8th level elixir Emperor Master, he didn't know what would happen. The 8th level intermediate elixir master may be the number 1 elixir master in the 4 major empires such as the Salem Empire. The sensation caused by it is beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Before having enough strength, Jason would not expose all his elixir skills. "Master Jace, how are you?" From the chair, Prince Tidja said with hope. Jason frowned and said, "His Royal Highness Prince Tyuria, I haven't seen yet, what is wrong with you?" Prince Tyuria's face suddenly dimmed and he said, "Since so, thank you Master Jace." There was frustration in his voice. When he was in the imperial capital, the masters of the Spiritual Medicine Academy examined his body, but they could not tell what was wrong with his body. Before starting, although Prince Tyuria was prepared for Jason's diagnosis, there was still a trace of expectation, but now after hearing Jason's previous words, my mood suddenly dropped. "Wait." Seeing that Prince Tyuria was about to stand up from the chair, Jason suddenly stopped him, frowned and said, "Prince Tyuria, I must be in your capacity, you must have learned a lot of ways to absorb spiritual elements. Now try to absorb the spiritual elements in the air and let me see." At first, Jason decided to show it to Prince Tyuria. It's because Thierry Princius said that he would take care of the Mori family, but after the previous diagnosis and seeing Tyelia's gray eyes, Jason's heart was touched. In his previous life, Jason was judged to be unable to become a famous spiritual master. He was unwilling to keep practicing. However, due to his spiritual consciousness, he failed in the end. The despair in Jason's heart at that time was like a dark cage, imprisoning him until he decided to find another one. One method is to walk out of despair after embarking on the path of a spiritual medicine master. Now, seeing the deathly look in Prince Tyuria's eyes, Jason suddenly thought of himself at that time. At the same time, the strange phenomenon on Prince Tyuria also aroused his bellicose personality. As a real elixir, not only was he not frightened by this strange phenomenon, but it made him even more excited about excitement. Absorbing spiritual power? Prince Tyuria was stunned for a moment. After a moment, the gray on his face disappeared. He nodded and said, "I understand." After saying this, Prince Tyuria immediately sat down and closed his eyes to practice. As the prince of the Salem Empire, one of the 4 major empires in the mainland, the spiritual techniques Tyuria comes into contact with are generally moon-level techniques, and their effectiveness is naturally excellent. In Tyuria's perception and mobilization, a large number of spiritual elements in the air continued to pour into Tyuria's body. "Hey!" At this moment, Jason suddenly let out a cry of surprise. He was surprised to find that the spiritual elements sucked into the body of Prince Tieria did not gather into spiritual power in the meridians. After entering Tieria's body, he disappeared. What's going on? Jason frowned. As an element active in the heaven and earth, the spiritual element is actually a tangible subtle energy. It has its own unique structure. Although it is extremely small, it is a real material structure and cannot disappear out of thin air. He walked into a place inside the body of Prince Tieria. Where could it be? Jason frowned in thought, and a possibility suddenly appeared in his mind. Blood. Yes. Only blood. There are many places in the human body that can absorb spiritual elements, such as meridians, blood, and vagina. For example, the line of violent spiritual masters stores energy in the body and improves body health. The intensity, but like what happened to Prince Tieria before, it is a bit like the situation where the blood concentration of members in the blood family reaches the critical point of activation and the blood is stressed. His Royal Highness Prince Tieria, may I ask you, the Ode family? Is it a blood family? Jason asked. Bloodline family is a collective name for some families with special bloodlines on the continent. On this continent, in addition to humans, there are other races, such as snake people and werewolves. There are also some people with special bloodlines. Blood race. As soon as Jason's question ended, Prince Tieria and Master Ballandain were stunned. Master Jace, you don't know? Master Ballandain said with astonishment on his face, our royal family in the Salem Empire is also called the Tiger blood family. It is one of the 3 famous blood families in the mainland. Even if it is all civilians in the empire should know this. After hearing what Master Ballandain said, Jason was dumbfounded. He was not from the Salem Empire, so naturally he didn't know who the royal family of the Salem Empire were. One of the families is the Tiger blood family. However, after hearing the news, Jason couldn't help but reveal a smile. He was already sure of the reason why Prince Tieria could not practice. Master Jace, do you have any questions? From the side, Prince Tieria asked. Jason nodded and said with a smile on his face, His Royal Highness Prince Tieria, if I guess correctly, the reason why you cannot practice is because your blood concentration has reached the critical point of your family's bloodline spiritual master. A bloodline spiritual master? Prince Tieria's expression suddenly changed, and Master Ballandain's face on the side also showed shock. Master Jace, can you explain in more detail? His Royal Highness Prince Tieria, since you have come out of the bloodline family, you must also know that the reason why the bloodline family is different from ordinary families is because when the blood concentration of the members of these families reaches a certain level, some normal people will produce some. It is a special ability that cannot be possessed, so it is called a blood family to distinguish it from ordinary families. When I checked your body just now, I found that you have no problems in terms of intelligence and body. But when practicing and absorbing spiritual elements in the air, the spiritual elements absorbed into the body will disappear for no reason and cannot be gathered at all. Yes. Tieria nodded hurriedly. Jason said, that is to say, the examination results of the masters of the Spiritual Medicine Academy in the Empire were the same. Those masters were also unable to detect what was wrong with his body. They only found that the spiritual elements would disappear for no reason after entering the body. Unable to form spiritual power. However, no matter how much the elixir masters checked, they could not find out where the spiritual elements had gone. Those elixir masters who could not find the problem could only blame Tieria's talent difference. Is this because my blood concentration has reached the critical point of the family's bloodline spiritual master? Tieria's face was nervous, but our family has never had a bloodline since 3,000 years ago. A spiritual master. Jason nodded and said, yes, generally bloodline families will spread outward over time, causing the bloodline to become thinner and thinner. But there are also some surprises. Speaking of this, Jason couldn't help but think of his own. The blood concentration reached more than 50% of that of the Todd family. However, because of the loss of the Todd family's previous information, Jason knew nothing about what kind of family he was. Generally speaking, the blood concentration of a family will become lower and lower as it continues to intermarry with children of foreign races. Usually the blood of the previous generations will be relatively high. Everyone is a blood spiritual master, and as time goes by, the blood concentration will become lower and lower. A few members who meet the requirements will appear every few generations, and as time continues to spread, one will only appear for more than a dozen generations until it slowly decreases and almost no longer appears, with only one or two appearing occasionally. This is a general rule for all bloodline families in the Stern continent. Almost every bloodline family is like this. From being strong to being strong, they slowly declined in the end. However, a family like the Ode family that created an empire and thrived for thousands of years is like this. Said, but it will not decline because of the reduction of family bloodline. Master J said that I should be a tiger blood spiritual master? But why can't I practice? Tyeria said tremblingly. At this moment, don't mention how nervous Gelia was. As the tiger blood family, one of the three major blood families in the mainland, the royal family of the Salem Empire is extremely proud. However, since the last blood spiritual master died 3,000 years ago, there has never been a new blood spiritual master. This makes the body, the Ode family of the royal family is quite troubled. If Tyeria can become the new tiger blood spiritual master, his status will be greatly improved. Ordinary princes will no longer be able to compete with him for the throne. No, you are not a tiger blood spiritualist yet, because what I said is that your blood concentration has reached the critical point of your family's bloodline spiritualist, but has not exceeded it. How do you say this? Jason frowned and explained, if your bloodline concentration is relatively low, then you will be like other princes, and there will be no problems or obstacles when practicing. But if your bloodline concentration reaches the level of bloodline spirit at the level of a master, you will directly become a bloodline spiritual master, but you are stuck at this critical point. At such a critical point, your bloodline will be extremely active and need to absorb a large amount of energy, mutating to at the level of a bloodline spiritual master. All the spiritual elements you absorb will be absorbed by your blood. However, if you want to break through this critical point, the amount of energy required is extremely huge, which cannot be achieved even with your level of spiritual power. With such speed, even if I practice for a lifetime, I'm afraid I won't be able to gather enough energy to break through this critical point. Tyeria's eyes instantly turned gray. For him, this is not good news. After listening to what Jason said, he would rather be like other princes than become a bloodline spiritual master. It sounds nice, but now he is stuck in this place where he is neither above nor below, making him a real waste. Master Jace, is there any way you can make me become like an ordinary person? Prince Tyeria said anxiously. Like ordinary people? Jason was stunned for a moment, then shook his head. The last bit of light in Prince Tyeria's eyes dimmed. But I'm curious, why do you want me to turn you into an ordinary person when you don't want to be a bloodline spiritual master? Jason said with curiosity on his face, I can make you break through the critical point of your bloodline, to become a true bloodline spiritual master. Silence, silence. Prince Tyeria and Master Ballandain were both stunned, their expressions dull. Can you make me a bloodline spiritual master? Prince Tyeria's eyes widened with a hint of disbelief, and he was extremely excited. Well, it's just that in order for you to become a bloodline spiritual master, you must find the blood or spiritual core of a tiger spiritual beast, and it must be at least a 7th level imperial spiritual beast. The blood or spiritual core of a tiger spiritual beast nuclear? Prince Tyeria and Master Ballandain looked at each other. Master Jess, can I have the spiritual core of an 8th level emperor level star flame tiger beast? Prince Tyeria said anxiously. As a tiger blood family, the Erd family regards tiger spiritual beasts as extremely precious, This star flame tiger beast's spiritual core was a birthday gift from His Majesty Peter to Prince Tyria on his 10th birthday, and it has been treasured by him in the palace. 8th level Imperial Spiritual Beast Star Flame Tiger Beast. Of course. Jason nodded, took a pen and paper from the table beside him, and said while writing, His Royal Highness Prince Tyria, you still have these materials, I need you to find it for me as soon as possible. Taking the blank paper from Jason, Tyria bowed deeply to Jason and said, Master Jace, I will send you these materials as soon as possible. Come on, as for the spiritual core of the Star Flame Tiger Beast, since it is in the palace, you need to wait for 2 days, but I will definitely deliver it to you as quickly as possible. Then I will wait for the prince. Your Highness, you have your material. Jason smiled. Master Jace, there is one more thing I need to ask you for. Tyria said with great solemnity, Master, I hope you can keep the matter of tonight a secret for me. I am very grateful. This is natural. There is no small matter in the royal family, Jason still understands this, he does not want to get involved in the affairs of the royal family of the Salem Empire. After the three of them chatted casually for a few more words, Prince Tyria and Master Ballandain left. Master Ballandain, I hope you will collect these materials as quickly as possible and then hand them over to Master Jace. As for the spiritual core of the Star Flame Tiger Beast, I will send someone else to get it. Back to in his room, Prince Tyria said solemnly to Master Ballandain. Don't worry, Your Highness, I will handle this matter as soon as possible without attracting anyone's attention. Ballandain nodded repeatedly. Neither of them had the slightest doubt about Jason. Prince Tyria had asked countless elixir masters to check, and no master could tell the reason. This time, regardless of whether what Jason said was true or false, Tyria is ready to give it a try. And while Prince Tyria was preparing the materials the next day, Doro Province, Blue Moon City's City Lord's Palace. In a room deep in the City Lord's Palace, Wadewetch sat cross-legged, his eyes closed tightly, and fiery red spiritual rays of light continued to diffuse from around his body, making the whole room steam like a furnace, reflecting the flushed. A stream of turbid air was spit out heavily from Wadewetch's mouth. The rich turbid air was like a fiery red bolt, cutting through a long space and spraying directly on the table not far away. Above, there was a burning smell, and the table was sprayed everywhere and was completely charred. Finally, all the injuries on my body have been cured. Wadewetch opened his eyes, a trace of joy flashing in his eyes. More than 10 days ago, after Wadewetch was injured by a Ludiba, he immediately returned to Blue Moon City to retreat to heal his injuries. During these more than 10 days, he could hardly leave the room and was healing his body every moment. It was not until today that all the injuries Aludiba caused him were healed. Sir Aludiba is indeed an 8th level low-level Emperor spiritual master. When will I reach that level? Recalling what happened that day, Wadewetch couldn't help but sigh. As a 7th level senior imperial spiritual master, although he is only 1 level behind the 8th level low-level emperor spiritual master, the difference cannot be measured by reason at all. Yesterday was supposed to be the 50th birthday of Aludiba and others. Damn Jace, if it weren't for him, how could I have enmity with Mr. Aludiba? Now I can't even receive an invitation to his birthday party. Wadewetch stood up and made an angry sound. Thank you for your support. I am very touched. Thank you very much. Because of the good relationship between Mr. Mu, the governor of Daluo Province, and Aludiba, generally speaking, the heads of some big families in Daluo Province will be invited to Aludiba's birthday, including the patriarch of the Wadewetch Mofa family, the 7th as a senior imperial spiritual master. It was normally impossible not to be invited, but because of what happened that day, Aludiba did not invite Wadewetch at all. Although this doesn't mean anything, for some sensitive people, it is enough to smell some different meanings, which will bring some trouble to the Mofa family. Thinking about it, Wadewetch still couldn't swallow this breath in his heart, a fierce light flashed in his eyes, and he said angrily, Humph, Master Aludiba was just angry because I openly killed Jace that day, if I find an opportunity one day and secretly kill Jace, if it doesn't cause too much of a sensation, I guess as Lord Eludiba, I won't say much. Wade Wooch made up his mind, imagining the painful look of Jace begging for mercy. Before he died, a cold and smug smile appeared on his face. Just when Wade Wooch was planning how to find an opportunity to secretly kill Jason, a blue figure suddenly appeared in the sky above Blue Moon City, and then came to the sky above Blue Moon City in an instant. An attack. The figure in blue robes stands proudly in the sky, with long dark blue hair fluttering in the wind and indifferent eyes, giving people an extremely profound feeling. It is none other than Rodriguez, who is following Prince Tieria. A powerful and unparalleled spirit. Consciousness quickly spread out from Rodriguez's body, covering the entire Blue Moon City. However, all the spiritual masters in the entire Blue Moon City were busy with their own affairs without any notice. After some investigation, Rodriguez's eyes instantly fell on the house where Wade Wooch was. Whoosh! Rodriguez's figure flashed in the sky, and the next moment, the sky was empty and his figure was missing. In the mansion of the Lord of Blue Moon City, Wade Wooch was beautifully sketching out a plan to kill Jason. Through the last battle with Jason, Wade Wooch already had a detailed understanding of Jason's strength. With the strength of his senior Imperial spiritual master, he was absolutely sure to kill Jason instantly. A faint smile formed on the corner of his mouth, and a perfect plan formed in his mind. Suddenly, Your Excellency, are you Wade Wooch of the Mofa family? A cold and indifferent voice suddenly sounded in Wade Wooch's ears. Who is it? Wade Wooch's smile faded. The spiritual power in his body spurted out instantly, and his pupils suddenly shrank to the size of needlepoints. He looked at the source of the sound, and saw there, a man with a mysterious character. The middle-aged man with blue eyes was looking at him coldly. Just that cold, sharp look made Wade Wooch, a 7th-level senior Imperial spiritual master, feel that all the blood in his body had solidified, as if he was in the Arctic ice field at this moment, and the whole world was freezing cold, and everything was frozen. It disappeared. Only the middle-aged man in front of him was left. Master, extremely master. Wade Wooch's heart was beating loudly. Although the other party did not emit such terrifying spiritual pressure, Wade Wooch could still feel the pressure the other party brought to him. My lord, I am Wade Wooch from the Mofa family. I wonder what your orders are, Wade Wooch said cautiously, but he was confused in his heart. When did such a person come to Daluo province? The mysterious master. Are you Wade Wooch? A faint smile appeared on Rodriguez's lips. Very good. By order of the Imperial Prince of Tieria, Wade Wooch violated the laws of the Empire and was executed according to the laws of the Empire. Rodriguez said indifferently. Violating the laws of the Empire? Make a decision? On the order of Prince Tieria, my lord, where did I violate the laws of the Empire? Wade Wooch instantly turned pale and screamed in shock. His mind was in chaos, and he couldn't figure out where on earth he had violated it. Breaking the laws of the Empire offended Prince Tieria. Tianhong City, Master Jace. Rodriguez was so cold that he spat out a few more words. Master Jace? Isn't this Jace a young boy? When did he become a master? Wade Wooch had a look of astonishment on his face, and then whoosh. A powerful fire spiritual power spurted out from Wade Wooch's body. Wade Wooch's whole body actually turned into a stream of flames and flew madly towards the roof, trying to escape. Rodriguez just raised his head. Buzz. Before Wade Wooch rushed to the roof, a wave of blue spiritual power sank directly into Wade Wooch's body. Kakaka, the flames on Wade Wooch's body were quickly extinguished. In his fearful and horrified eyes, a layer of blue ice instantly thickly enveloped his entire body. Puh. After a moment, the ice burst violently. Blue and white ice crystals were flying all over the sky, falling all over the ground, slowly melting, and finally dissipated. Wade Wooch, who had been frozen inside before, was without bones. Live. A blue light flashed, and the whole room was empty, leaving only a cold breath that filled the room and lingered for a long time. As one of the princes of the Salem Empire, Tyria's speed in collecting materials was naturally extraordinary. In just 2 days, all the materials Jason wrote on that piece of paper were sent to his room. The materials Jason wrote this time were much better than what Kester and the others collected last time. I don't know how rare the materials are. Even for Jason himself, it is quite difficult to collect them. However, during Tyria's full-scale launch, he collected them all in just 2 days. This made Jason couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Just because he still had to wait for the spiritual core of the 8th Order Emperor level Starflame Tiger Beast as the main material, in the past 2 days, Jason had dragged Master Ballantyne into the Phil family's experiment. In the room, they were learning from Master Ballantyne in the name of mutual discussion. In his previous life, Jason had never been a true traditional elixir medicine master. All his preparation methods were original technical elixir medicine. In his previous life, although there were so many powerful elixir masters following him, Jason knew that he could not become a spiritual alchemist. Although he had studied all the theories of spiritual alchemy, in practice, but he is an out-and-out rookie. Now it is rare to meet Ballantyne, a 7th-level intermediate elixir master. As the strongest elixir master he has encountered after his rebirth, Jason will not let go of this opportunity. Like a strong man, he pulled Ballantyne into the laboratory. At the beginning, Master Ballantyne was very excited that Jason asked him to study together and followed him into the laboratory with great interest. After all, Jason's knowledge of elixirs shown at Elutaba's banquet was so profound that even Ballantyne, a 7th-level intermediate elixir master, was extremely impressed. But when the two people actually discussed it, Master Ballantyne was completely dumbfounded. Jason, who had an extremely profound knowledge of elixirs, was clumsily preparing elixirs with his spiritual sense. Master Ballantyne could not believe that this was the same person as the knowledgeable Jason at the banquet that day. Master Ballantyne, when preparing the 5th-level high-grade spiritual elixir elasticity elixir, how should we use our spiritual sense to separate these two different elements from the elasticity and fire elements that were added to the fire grass? In the laboratory, Jason started questioning Ballantyne again. The elasticity potion is a 5th-level high-grade elixir. One step in preparing the elasticity potion is to separate the two different elements, elasticity and fire element, from the fireweed solution. Elastin is an element with extremely strong affinity, and is usually intertwined with the fire element. With Jason's 5th-level advanced spiritual consciousness, although the spiritual consciousness is extremely delicate, if Jason uses his spiritual consciousness bit by bit if the points are separated, it is simply impossible to accomplish. If using the technique liquid medicine, Jason would just shake the solution and completely separate the two elements. However, with the spiritual knowledge medicine, Jason didn't know what to do. In fact, even without technical skills, Jason could completely separate the two by relying on the calculation of Avogadro's law and following the step-by-step reaction of the solution. However, Jason was not satisfied with this at all, without the use of spiritual consciousness. He was not willing to accept Lu Ling Pharmacy's achievement. Elastin and fire elements? Just use the Huangji countercurrent method. It's very simple. Ballantyne, who was busy at the side, said casually. How to do the Emperor's countercurrent method? Jason frowned. Master Jace, you don't even know the Emperor's countercurrent technique, right? Ballantyne stopped what he was doing and looked at Jason completely speechless. Jason naturally knew that the Huangji countercurrent method was a method used by elixir masters to separate solutions based on the flow of spiritual power after reaching the 5th level of elixir master. However, Jason did not know how to operate it specifically. Seeing Jason's confused expression, Master Ballantyne immediately took out a bottle of solution from the cabinet and then put some powder into it. It was so clear that the solution suddenly turned red. Ballantyne's hand touched the preparation bottle. As his spiritual power and spiritual consciousness spread, the originally red solution suddenly turned into orange, and then turned into yellow, followed by green, cyan, blue, and purple. This is the famous rainbow solution. According to the operation of spiritual power, the structure of quinone in the solution is changed, resulting in the formation of different elemental colors. Come on, come and try it, Master Balandine said to Jason Rode. Jason nodded, came to Master Balandaean, and began to use his spiritual consciousness to control the flow of spiritual power in the solution. The originally red solution suddenly became colorful and chaotic. No, it's not like that, Balandaean said. Master Jess, you have to imagine there are various different element particles in this solution. They have different concentrations, and when combined with each other, they can form different colors. Here, let me help you reconstitute the color of the solution to red. You can try it again later, Master Balandine said, just to get the mixing bottle in Jason's hand. It is an extremely difficult task to turn such a chaotic color back to red. Even with his strength, it will take some time and effort. With Jason's previous clumsiness, it is almost impossible for him to turn it back to red. Impossible. Imagine different particles? Different concentrations? Jason murmured to himself, but ignored Balandane's actions. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as if he thought of something. His right hand shook violently, and the originally colorful rainbow solution suddenly turned red. Is this how it works? Jason concentrated on using his spiritual power. Only the stunned Master Balandane was left. How did you do it? Master Valenti couldn't help but think back to Jason's previous actions. Master Jace seemed to just shake it casually, and the rainbow solution with completely chaotic elements suddenly turned back to its original red color. Can the rainbow solution be restored like this? Why didn't I know? Master Balandaean, he was completely confused. In the previous situation, even with his 7th level intermediate elixir master's attainments, it would take a lot of effort to restore the rainbow solution to its original state, but Jason's flicker shocked him. While Master Balandaean was lost in thought, Jason on the side was completely devoted to the practice of the Emperor's countercurrent technique. His spiritual consciousness continuously controlled the spiritual power to enter the solution, and then circulated in the solution. Compared with the original particle structure in the rainbow solution, spiritual power itself is a material composition. During the flow process, it will disrupt the original arrangement of particles in the solution and form a new structure. It's like comparing the particles in the solution to a large group of people wearing red and green clothes in a room, and comparing the spiritual power to a referee who walks around in the middle of the room and asks, "Wear red clothes?" The person wearing green clothes stood on his right side, and the two people wearing different colors of clothes naturally separated. There will definitely be differences between different particles. It may be density, concentration, size, or some characteristics of the particles themselves. The elixir masters must use special methods based on the different characteristics of the particles themselves. Separate them collectively instead of using spiritual power to separate them one by one like Jason did at the beginning. The number of particles contained in any drop of solution is an extremely terrifying number. According to Jason's method, even the most powerful elixir master cannot complete the separation of the solution. Jason's technology, Luling Pharmacy, relies on vibration to gather particles of the same density or concentration together through vibration. Just like water and oil, two things with different densities are put in a bottle. No matter how you shake them, they will quickly separate again after mixing together, forming two completely different solutions. And Huangji, the countercurrent method, is more based on the particularity of particles. For example, there are two substances, iron filings and copper filings, mixed at the bottom of a preparation bottle. How to separate them? Just put a magnet on the mouth of the bottle, and the iron filings will naturally be sucked up, and this is the case with the Huangji countercurrent method. In fact, whether it is technical spiritual medicine or spiritual medicine, the essence is the same, but the way it is taken is different. It is said that one method can solve all methods. After figuring this out, Jason quickly understood the essence of it with his understanding. In Jason's perception, the particles in the rainbow solution are no longer simple particles, but particles with different properties. As his spiritual power continued to flow, the originally red solution suddenly began to change. Orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple. At the beginning, the changing speed of the rainbow solution in Jason's hand was still very slow, which could not be compared with the previous one of Master Ballandain. However, as he mastered the Huangji countercurrent method, with continuous understanding and deepening, the color change speed of the rainbow solution gradually became faster. In Master Ballandain's shocked eyes, Jason, who was unable to change the color of the rainbow solution at first, now saw the rainbow solution in his hands like a neon light, rapidly changing from red to purple, and then from the purple turned into red, which made people stunned and overwhelmed. Why hasn't Master Jace learned the Huangji countercurrent technique before? You're not lying to me, are you? With his current level of proficiency, why do I feel like he is a master of elixirs who specializes in solution separation? Master Ballandain's expression was dull and his eyes were dull. He was completely confused about the changes in Jason's body. In the end, he could only lament that Master Jesse's profound knowledge in elixir science cannot be deduced by common sense. In this way, while waiting for the Star Flame Tiger Beast Spirit Core, Jason stayed in the laboratory and discussed with Master Ballandain. As the time spent with Jason deepened, Master Ballandain was really completely confused about Jason's strength. Most of the time, Jason behaves like a 5th-level senior elixir master who doesn't know anything. But sometimes his sudden stroke of genius is Lien Ballandain, a 7th-level intermediate elixir master. It is also impossible to do. However, it is undeniable that although Jason's use of spiritual consciousness to prepare elixirs is confusing, Ballanda's attainments in elixirs, especially his understanding of elixir materials, medicinal properties, pharmacology, etc., are beyond comprehension. Because I felt deeply inferior. Some of the processing methods of materials and the special properties of materials. As the elixir master of the Imperial Court, he can access most of the elixir information in the Empire. Master Ballandain, who claims to be knowledgeable, has not even seen it, but has even heard it. Never heard before. During these days of getting along with Jason, Ballandain's vision of spiritual medicine has almost changed dramatically compared to before, and it also made him feel extremely ashamed. In the past, Ballandain was extremely proud and complacent because of his status as the master of elixirs in the Imperial Palace. Now, after spending some time with Jason, he realized that he was like a frog in a well, living in a small corner of the world. While Jason was exchanging experiences with Master Ballandain on the preparation of elixirs in Eludaba's mansion, he was in the maze of death deep in the cloud swamp. A golden figure was sitting cross-legged in a golden room at the moment. The entire room was filled with rich golden elements, which were like the tide of elements, constantly rising and falling. And around the figure, a series of misty golden spiritual powers enveloped the world, forming a golden misty ball. In the middle of the ball, countless extremely sharp golden spiritual powers were like swords. Like a snake, it keeps swimming around in a unique pattern, full of murderous intent. Suddenly, the figure's closed eyes suddenly opened, and the powerful golden spiritual power suddenly exploded like an exploding dynamite barrel. Buzz, 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 the spiritual power trembled, and the space collapsed. Countless golden sword snakes were like a heaven and earth net that wrapped the entire world. Then, the 5th basic secret control method of the gold spiritual master, space cutting. Boom! Countless golden sword shadows instantly intersected and condensed into a huge golden sword rainbow. Endless spiritual power exploded. When the sword rainbow fell, the space was chopped into pieces, like a mirror. Broken apart. The aftermath of the shock spread, and under this powerful force, the golden room instantly collapsed. The golden figure stood proudly in the void, like a golden armored war god, with eyes like lightning and extremely powerful spiritual power exuding from his whole body. Does the Golden Spiritual Master basically control the fifth form of the secret technique? The golden figure murmured, revealing a face with clear lines and resoluteness. It was Jason's father, Reno. Send me out. Renaud stretched out his hand, revealing a golden token in his palm. As soon as the words fell, Renaud's entire body turned into a golden light and disappeared into the golden space. At the same time, in an open space outside the death maze, a golden light suddenly lit up, and then the light faded, and a tall man appeared in the center of the golden light. This person is Renaud, who came out of the golden inheritance space. Renaud raised his head. Outside the boundary of the death maze, the thick red poisonous mist almost turned into liquid and flowed with each other, giving people an extremely terrifying feeling. However, Renaud was not afraid at all. A golden transparent wave spread out from his body. In the surrounding space of 100 meters, all the spiritual elements were drained away, leaving only the golden spiritual elements. What Renaud used was actually a Chung element barrier that could only be used by an 8th level Emperor spiritual master. Looking at the thick red poisonous mist in front of him, Renaud soared into the air, swept into the poisonous mist like lightning, and disappeared in an instant. In an unknown cave deeper in the cloud swamp, a pair of golden eyes suddenly flashed out in the dark cave. The kid who accepted the master's inheritance has a pretty good understanding. 2 months ago, he successfully advanced to the 8th level low-level Emperor spiritual master in the inheritance space. From the 1st level to the 7th level high-level Emperor spiritual master, he advanced to the 8th level low-level Emperor spirit master. It took a whole year, but this is nothing. Calculated according to the 10 times cultivation speed in the metal inheritance space, it is equivalent to 10 years in the outside world. It can be regarded as superior talent, barely. He can be called a genius, but what surprises me is, at this point, a hint of surprise appeared in those golden eyes. This kid has actually learned the first 5 of the 9 basic techniques of Master's Gold Spiritual Master Control in more than a year. This kind of talent is rare in the world. With his 8th level low level with the strength of the Emperor Spirit Master, he has mastered the 5th form of space cutting, and even an 8th level intermediate Emperor Spirit Master can fight in a duel. An incredible low voice buzzed in the cave. But the strength of the 8th level low level is still a bit weak. But with that kid's talent and understanding, as long as he is not tired of practicing, the Master's inheritance may really have a successor. When the time comes, the Master will stay with me. The thing can finally have its new owner. There was a hint of relief in the voice, then gradually weakened, and finally disappeared. Next to the Spiritual Medicine Master Association in the center of the City of Chaos, there is a newly built large-scale mansion. This mansion is located in the center of the City of Chaos, and forms a tripartite stand with the famous Spiritual Medicine Master Association and the trading center of the City of Chaos. It stands in the center of the City of Chaos and has become a landmark building in the City of Chaos. This mansion is the residence of the Kongsi family, the first family in the territory of Chaos, and the core members of the other 2 major families, the Baiyuan family and the Curie family, also live in it. Under normal circumstances, although this mansion is extremely luxurious, the core figures of the major families are usually not in it, but are busy in various fields. But today, people like Patriarch Tyson of the Kang's family and Marie Curie of the Curie family are here. Elder Leah, Chief Reagan of the Baiyuan family, and others all gathered together and appeared in the hall. Because today, the master of their 3 major families and the actual leader of the Chaos territory, Lord Renaud, returned from the Cloud Swamp. There is a reason for summoning you all to the mansion today. After the meeting, I will leave the territory of Chaos. I need to arrange some things with you. At the head of the hall, Renaud sat there, giving people a sense of majesty. What? Mr. Renaud, are you leaving the territory of Chaos? After hearing Renaud's words, the entire hall was like a pot exploding, boiling instantly. In the more than a year since Jason left, Renaud, in addition to practicing in the metal space of Jintong Palace, would often come back to give guidance and manage the Chaos territory a little. Over the past year or so, the territory of chaos has undergone earth-shaking changes. The Spiritual Medicine Master Association, founded by Jason, can be found in every corner of the territory of chaos, not only in the hundreds of major cities, but also in the small towns below. Towns and even some large villages have the headquarters of the Spiritual Medicine Master Association. It has become the truly largest force in the territory of chaos. The businesses of the Kongsi family and the Baiyuan family are also spread throughout the entire chaos territory. The 8 major families in the original chaos territory, except for the Curie family and the Baiyuan family, have been almost completely destroyed in more than a year and disappeared. On the land of the chaos territory. At the same time, the strength of the 3 major families, the Kang's family, the Baiyuan family, and the Curie family, has also undergone rapid changes. As for elixir masters, when Jason just left more than a year ago, Maria was only a 6th-level low-level spiritual master. But because of her diligent efforts every day and her special contribution to the Elixir Master Association, Renaud gave Maria one of the 5 bottles of spiritual master medicine that Jason had left behind, allowing her to advance from a low-level 6th-level spiritual master to a high-level 6th-level spiritual master. Today, Maria is already the veritable first elixir master in the territory of chaos. Because she has obtained a lot of knowledge and prescriptions from Jason, Maria's attainments in elixir science are far ahead of those of Patriarch Pierre back then. Above. The second-ranked elixir master in the territory of chaos is considered to be Gandalf as a 6th-level intermediate elixir master. When Jason left, Gandalf was originally only a 5th-level intermediate elixir master. With his hard work, he finally succeeded in advancing to the 5th-level senior elixir master. Then, he took the bottle of spiritual medicine that Jason gave him back then, and suddenly he was promoted from the 5th-level senior elixir master. Master of elixirs who has advanced to the 6th level of intermediate level. However, the reason why he ranks second is not just because of his level as a 6th-level intermediate elixir master. In the territory of chaos, in addition to Gandalf, several elders of the Curie family such as Noah and Narth have also been promoted from the original 6th-level intermediate spiritual masters to the 6th-level senior spiritual masters, and their elixirs, the level, has also increased. Originally, they were only 5th-level intermediate elixir masters and 5th-level senior elixir masters. However, in more than a year, under the guidance of Elder Maria, the 2 of them have all advanced to the 6th level of intermediate spiritual master, the same as Gandalf. The reason why Gandalf ranks second among all elixir masters in the territory of chaos is because he has spent the longest time with Jason and has learned the most from Jason. In all aspects, he has demonstrated he has developed a comprehension and talent that far exceeds that of ordinary elixir masters. In fact, if Gandalf also advances to the 6th level of senior elixir master, I'm afraid it won't be long before he can replace Elder Maria as the #1 elixir master in the territory of chaos. At the same time, the special mechanism of the Elixir Master Association is also a large number of talented young people have emerged in the territory of chaos. In terms of geographical area, the total area of the territory of chaos is equivalent to half of any of the 4 major empires in the mainland. The original talents were withering only because of the living space of the spiritual medicine masters in the territory of chaos. Very bad, but now under the new mechanism, a large number of excellent elixir masters have stood out and become the backbone of the territory of chaos. These are all changes in the strength of the spiritual medicine master of the chaos territory. As for spiritual masters, the Reagan patriarch of the Baiyuan family has become the undisputed strongest person besides Renaud. He was the 7th level low-level imperial spiritual master back then. Over the past year, under Renaud's tireless teachings, he finally broke through the 7th level low-level spiritual master 2 months ago and achieved the strength of the 7th level intermediate imperial spiritual master. The strongest elder of the Kang's family, Dias, broke through after taking the spiritual master potion. After reaching the 6th level senior spiritual master, in more than a year, under the guidance of Renaud, Elder Dias finally became a 7th level low-level imperial spiritual master, and became the second 7th level emperor in the territory of chaos. Spiritualist. Patriarch Tyson of the Kongsi family advanced to the realm of the 6th level intermediate spiritual master after taking the spiritual master potion. In more than a year, Patriarch Tyson also made another breakthrough and became a spiritual master. A 6th level senior spiritual master. Among the 5 elders of the Baiyuan family, the 6th level senior spiritual master was promoted to the 7th level low-level imperial spiritual master. The remaining 4 6th level intermediate spiritual masters were all promoted to the high-level spiritual master. Realm. Even the guard of the Kang's family, Belgium, was promoted from the 6th level low-level spiritual master to the 6th level high-level spiritual master. In fact, when he took the spiritual master potion, he was only one step away from the 6th level intermediate spiritual master. It was 1 o'clock, and not long after Jason broke through. And the last one I have to talk about is Jason's disciple Archimedes. When Jason left, Archimedes only had the 4th level low-level strength. In the past year and a half, in addition to practicing, he also prepared spiritual potions. He wasted almost no time. He wasted more than a year. He has been promoted to the 5th level of senior sect spirit master, and his training speed is comparable to that of Jason. After Archimedes was promoted to the 5th level senior spiritual master 2 months ago, he took the spiritual master potion. Like Gandalf, he suddenly broke through to the realm of the 6th level intermediate spiritual master. If it weren't for the short promotion time, Archimedes would probably be able to break through to the 6th level intermediate elixir master in elixir science. By that time, Gandalf, as the 2nd-ranked elixir master in the territory of chaos, would probably it's going to be dangerous. In the more than a year since Jason left, the chaos territory has shown its vitality. It has 1 7th level intermediate imperial spiritual master, 2 7th level low-level imperial spiritual masters, and 1 6th level senior elixir master. There are 4 or 5 intermediate elixir masters, nearly 10 6th level senior elixir masters, and countless other high-level elixir masters, low-level elixir masters, and low-level and intermediate elixir masters. All of this is due to the teachings of Renaud, an 8th level low-level emperor spiritual master, and the formula given by Jason. In the former territory of chaos, elixirs were extremely rare, and high-level elixirs could only be obtained by the Curie family, which was a family of elixirs. People did not dare to take them at will. But in the current chaotic territory, the core members of the 3 major families, the Kongsi family, the Baihara family, and the Curie family, can exchange their contribution points for any elixir as long as they work for the family and obtain enough contribution points. Moreover, some of the elixir formulas that Jason left behind in the territory of chaos were all elixirs that could help people practice. It was the combination of these many aspects that enabled the territory of chaos to develop so vigorously. It can be said that the improvement in strength of Reagan and others over the past year is all due to the relationship between Renaud and Jason. Therefore, during this period, these 3 major families have already given their hearts to Renaud and Jason. 2 people, so after hearing that Renaud was leaving, these people suddenly panicked. You don't have to be surprised. Renaud said calmly, I am only leaving the territory of chaos temporarily, and I will be back soon. It has been nearly 3 years since I left the Kingdom of Orlando, and Jason also left, more than 10 years. At this time, Renaud also felt a little homesick. Everyone couldn't help but smile bitterly. Master Jace only said to leave for a while, but he has not come back until now. Now Master Renaud is also leaving. Although everyone is reluctant to leave, they have no choice. In the territory of chaos, Jason and Renaud are the representatives of the highest authority. No one dares or can stop what they want to do. However, Tyson and others also knew that Jason and Renaud were not locals of the territory of chaos. They must be members of a powerful family in the mainland. It was only natural for them to want to go back and take a look. Fortunately, the territory of chaos is now on the right track. Without Jason and Renault, although it means there is no backbone, it can still operate smoothly and at high speed. Thinking of this, everyone could only listen to Renault's arrangement silently and keep it in mind. During the days when I leave, you must not relax and work hard to improve your level. At the end of the sentence, Renault spoke seriously. Yes. Everyone agreed loudly, and the voice spread far out of the hall, shaking the world. Under everyone's reluctant gaze, Renault instantly turned into a golden stream of light, flew up into the sky, and disappeared at the end of the sky. Unknowingly, in this unnoticed corner of the continent, a powerful new force is constantly growing, waiting for the day it will break out of its cocoon and become a butterfly. I believe that on that day, it will shock the entire continent. When Renault quickly flew towards the Kingdom of Orlando along the road that Jason passed a year ago, in the Phil family mansion in Scarlet Flame City, Jason finally waited for the 8th level star flame of Prince Tyria. The spiritual core of the tiger beast. This is a fiery red spiritual core, about the size of a fist. The entire spiritual core is in the shape of a polygonal rhombus, with bright luster and no trace of impurities. It emits a misty red halo under the sunlight. In the middle of the spiritual core, there are 2 silver dots that are like stars in the night sky, embedded in the entire spiritual core, emitting powerful spiritual power fluctuations. And NBA, it will take some time to prepare it. If you trust me, Your Highness can hand over the spiritual core to me. In about 3 days, I will come up with a spiritual elixir that can allow His Highness to break through the critical point of his bloodline. Jason said. In fact, with the materials now available, Jason can directly prepare the bloodline awakening potion that will allow Prince Tyria to become a bloodline spiritual master. However, the bloodline awakening potion is a 7th level and imperial elixir, and if it was to be prepared, Jason's attainments in elixirs would require the use of technical elixirs. This was not what Jason, who did not want to expose his strength, wanted. That's why he proposed 3 days, during which he had enough time to make some arrangements. Prince Tyria was just stunned for a moment, and then handed over the spiritual core of the 8th level star flame tiger beast in his hand without any hesitation. He turned to Jason and said with a smile, "If you can trust me, you can naturally trust Master Jace. Master Jace, no matter how much you prepare it, I will always be in Scarlet Flame City these days. I'm waiting for good news from you, Master Jace." Jason nodded, took the spiritual core from Prince Tyria, and put it directly into his arms. It looked as if the 8th level spiritual core was just a low-level spiritual core, nothing remarkable at all. But for Jason, who was able to obtain even the 9th level dragon spiritual core in his previous life, the 8th level spiritual core is indeed not that extraordinary. Of course, for Jason now, it is extremely precious, but psychologically, Jason is not as cautious as ordinary elixir masters. Looking at Jason's retreating figure, Master Ballandine said in the ear of Prince Tyria, "Your Highness, is it appropriate to place this 8th level spiritual core with Master Jace? Do you want to send someone at this point?" Master Ballandine shut up. He believed that Prince Tyria could understand what he meant. In fact, after spending so much time with Jason these days, he felt that Jason, Master Ballandine, was both admired and speechless in his heart, and he was full of affection for Jason. But as a follower of Prince Tyria, there were some things that Master Ballandine had to remind him, although he in his heart, he was not willing to let Prince Tyria send people to monitor Jason, but he had to do it. Send someone to watch Master Jace? Prince Tyria looked up at Master Ballandine, then shook his head and said, "I believe Master Jace, and I must believe him, since Master Jace said 3 days later, let's just wait for news from him." After all, Jace was not a random passerby he met, but the master he met at Lord Eludaba's banquet. How could Prince Tyria? I don't believe that Jace would lie to him, the Prince of the Empire, for an 8th level spiritual core. If he sent someone to monitor Master Jace and was discovered by the other party, it would cause some unnecessary trouble. And I don't know why. For Jason, Prince Tyria has an inexplicable sense of trust. Although this sense of trust comes out of nowhere, it is extremely real. The most important thing is that if Jason dares to lie to him, Tyria, as the prince of the empire, is confident that he will find Jason from the mainland, no matter where he escapes. After hearing what Prince Tyria said, Master Ballandain couldn't help but feel happy, but his face remained calm. At the same time, he couldn't help but think highly of Prince Tyria. Jason returned all the way to his room, then called Locke over and handed him a piece of paper, asking him to buy back the materials on the paper as quickly as possible. What is written on the paper are 3 materials: spirit-separating sand, vermilion mud and spirit-absorbing stone. These 3 materials are not common in Stern Continent, but they are not particularly rare materials. They are rarely used in the preparation of general spiritual potions. Used. If it were in Tianhong City, it might be difficult to find them all at once, but Chiyan City, as the provincial capital of Chi'er Province, is the economic center of the entire Chi'er Province. There are countless stores of various elixir materials. In a short time, Locke purchased the 3 materials and gave them to Jason. After doing all this, Locke exited Jason's room without asking any questions. Without my notice, within 3 days, anyone who comes to me will tell me that I am practicing, and no one will be seen. Jason ordered before Locke went out. After Locke left, Jason closed the door and put together the things he asked Locke to buy. Spirit-separating sand, vermilion mud, and spirit-absorbing stone. Spirit-separating sand is a kind of light silver particles that are like stardust. It is extremely fine. Just like its name, this kind of light silver particles has the function of isolating the transmission of spiritual elements. Vermilion mud is a red paste-like object, and its effect is also very simple. It can disrupt the connection between spiritual elements. Where there is vermilion mud, it will be more difficult for spiritual elements to aggregate. The spirit-absorbing stone is a transparent stone as big as a soybean. Just like its name, the spirit-absorbing stone can absorb the spiritual elements between heaven and earth and store them in it. It is a commonly used basic stone. Material. Jason first mixed the gelling sand and vermilion mud together and poured it into a container. Then he took some water from the side and poured it into it, and then stirred carefully to fully mix the 2. Later, Jason held the container and glued the crimson sticky substance mixed with the spirit sand and vermilion mud to every corner of the house. At the same time, on each piece of crimson sticky substance, there are several soybean-like soul-absorbing stones embedded in it. In a short time, every corner of the entire room was covered with a mixture of the 2, 99 places in total. It looked extremely messy, but if an alchemist master and a formation master looked at it, they would be able to see that the placement of the 99 mixtures completely enveloped the entire room, and the stars were densely packed, forming an extremely unique array. Absolute Spirit Formation. The Bloodline Awakening Potion is a 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Potion. When it is prepared, it will produce strange phenomena in the world and have a huge impact. Generally, Bloodline Awakening Potions only require a 7th-level spiritual core. However, this time Prince Tyria, what is provided is an 8th-level spiritual core. During the preparation process, powerful spiritual power will escape. Today, Jason is still in the Phil family's mansion. With the powerful forces of Patriarch Eludiba, Mr. Mu, Master Ballandain, etc., as long as there is a slight movement in Jason's room, they will be killed. These strong men sensed that no move could be hidden from the other party. The Absolute Spirit Formation arranged by Jason is a special formation that can isolate the spiritual phenomena between heaven and earth, so that when Jason prepares the Blood Awakening Potion, he will not be attacked by powerful people such as Eludiba from the outside world. Sensed, causing some unnecessary trouble. After setting up the Absolute Spirit Formation, Jason couldn't help but exhale, and then he took out all the materials that Prince Tyria purchased from the space ring. Suddenly, the originally empty table was densely filled with all kinds of rare materials. Immediately afterwards, Jason took out his own set of amethyst utensils. In fact, Jason didn't want anyone to see the reason for his preparation, and this set of amethyst utensils was one of them. Amethyst vessels are one of the priceless treasures on the mainland. Even Master Barandayan, who is the palace elixir master and the 7th level intermediate elixir master, does not have it. If it is revealed, it will inevitably attract some greedy people. This is what Jason has to guard against. After doing all this, Jason closed his eyes tightly and took a deep breath. A long wave of air spurted out from Jason's mouth. Every time he exhaled, Jason's breath became softer. By the time all the breath was exhaled, Jason's mind was already empty. It was dark, without any distracting thoughts. He opened his eyes, his dark pupils filled with tranquility. Then, his hand suddenly moved the 2 amethyst preparation bottles on the table. They jumped instantly and turned into 2 purple full moons, rising into the sky. Rays of purple halo fell into the sky and reflected on the elixir materials on the table, giving people a magnificent and gorgeous beauty. The 2 moons compete for glory and illuminate the earth. This is one of Jason's famous stunts in his previous life. It requires extremely high physical strength and skills to perform. Now Jason's physical strength has reached the 8th level intermediate emperor spiritual master level, spanning 3,000 years of history. In this, for a moment, it was finally displayed again. At the same time, under the purple halo, several elixir materials on the table flew past at the same time as if they had been inexplicably summoned. These elixir materials were like Chona flying to the moon, flying into the sky. The fairies each turned into dazzling streams of light and flew towards the 2 purple, full moons hanging high in the sky. For a moment, the room was filled with fragrant aromas and fairy sounds. Various elixir materials were instantly processed by Jason. Each of them evolved into various strange phenomena, merged together, and entered the preparation bottle that turned into a purple full moon. It forms a beautiful pattern of a fairy riding the wind, staying in a beautiful palace, and dancing to clear her shadow. The powerful chi spread rapidly in the room and filled the entire corner. Countless fairy sounds lingered in it, and the lingering sound lingered for a long time. In the middle of the room, 2 groups of cold purple moons hung high in the sky, cold, clean, and extremely sacred. Countless elixir materials turned into streams of light. After flying into the purple moon, they immediately turned into figures of different shapes, like a group of fairies wearing silk and grosgrain gauze, dancing in the Guanghan Fairy Palace. The dancing sleeves are blowing in the breeze, and the white silk is waving, emitting various colors of light, which is dazzling and touching. At this moment, Jason's mind has been completely integrated into it. His eyes are like electricity, and the purple divine light is flowing, like 2 purple night pearls. 2 auroras shoot out from the electricity, covering all the elixir materials and preparation vessels in front of him, a world of its own. At the same time, the spiritual consciousness and spiritual power that have been improved by Master Balandayan these days are also spreading out naturally. The delicate spiritual consciousness is like a soft hair, penetrating into every reaction, controls everything. A surging spiritual power blew past, and the 2 purple moons hanging in the sky suddenly seemed to fall into the vast sea. They undulated and rolled on the rough sea surface, constantly intersecting. Every time they intertwined, the contents of the 2 bottles were mixed. The materials will have a slight fusion, exuding powerful spiritual power. Using the 8th level intermediate physical strength to prepare the 7th level imperial potion was very easy for Jason, and he was extremely familiar with it. However, at this moment, Jason had sweat on his forehead and his body was shaking slightly. His expression was serious, completely immersed in it, and he did not dare to be distracted in the slightest. For Jason, it would be extremely simple to prepare the bloodline awakening potion by just using technological spiritual medicine, but he was unwilling to do so. As a true elixir master, only by constantly challenging one's own limits and constantly challenging oneself through preparation can one be able to continuously improve. And this time, he just wanted to rely on his 5th level advanced spiritual knowledge and spiritual knowledge. He used the power to complete the partial preparation of the 7th level Imperial Bloodline Awakening Potion. For an ordinary elixir master, what Jason is doing now is simply whimsical. Spiritual elixir science is an extremely complete subject. After countless years of development and improvement, its levels and classifications have reached an extremely perfect level. Even if you use the strength of the 5th level intermediate level to prepare a 5th level advanced elixir, it is almost impossible to complete. What's more, not to mention someone like Jason, who wants to use his 5th level advanced strength to prepare a 7th level imperial potion and bridge the gap between 2 levels, this is simply a fantasy. But Jason didn't flinch or be timid at all. With his understanding of spiritual medicine, coupled with Avogadro's law and his delicate spiritual knowledge, he can completely do this. The master who practices the spiritual art can definitely do this. Sen, in terms of the exquisiteness of spiritual consciousness, is no worse than some 6th level spiritual masters. What he lacks is just the intensity of spiritual consciousness. What's more, Jason only uses the spiritual consciousness flow medicine to complete the bloodline awakening potion. It is just a partial preparation of the bloodline awakening potion, instead of completely using spiritual consciousness flow medicine to prepare the bloodline awakening potion. As time goes by, the step-by-step reaction is completely under Jason's control. Although it proceeds very slowly, each time every step was extremely difficult and full of ups and downs, but in the end, Jason was able to resolve it step by step with his super knowledge of elixirs. Faced with such a difficult preparation, Jason's spirit was completely immersed in it. In this state of absolute immersion, Jason's spirit was integrated with nature like never before. In that state of absolute fusion with nature, Jason's mental power is growing horribly at an unprecedented speed. Now Jason's mental power is growing at a rate hundreds of times faster than usual. Because it was completely integrated into it, the spiritual consciousness grew crazily, and the crazily growing spiritual consciousness was immediately added to the preparation. This virtuous cycle made Jason's strength increase crazily. On the table, the elixir materials are constantly decreasing. All the elixir materials have entered into various preparation vessels, exuding a surging spiritual power. If it weren't for the fact that Jason built the Ju Ling array, such powerful spiritual power fluctuations have long attracted the attention of many powerful people in the Phil family mansion, but at this moment, no one knew that in the courtyard not far from them, there was a man who was only 2 years old. The 10-year-old boy was preparing a powerful 7th level imperial potion. I don't know how long it took, but Jason's body was drenched in sweat. However, all the elixir ingredients on the table in front of him had disappeared, only a pile of residue was left. In the sky, a full moon with a purple-red halo fell from the sky and turned into a mortal. A bottle of crimson solution was quietly placed in a preparation bottle made of amethyst, exuding a charming halo. Phew! Jason came back from immersion. His eyes were like the deep universe, calm without any ripples. As he turned his left hand, the crimson, fist-sized 8th level star flame tiger beast spiritual core had appeared in it. He hit his left hand. The next moment, poof! The crimson solution was rolling, and the spiritual core of the 8th level star flame tiger beast had been gently put into the semi-finished bloodline awakening potion by Jason, and then boom! An indescribable and shocking red light suddenly rose from the mouth of the preparation bottle, and at the same time, a powerful spiritual power that was so rich that it almost turned into substance soared into the sky from the preparation bottle. Pung! The 8th level spiritual core shattered directly in the preparation bottle and turned into the purest spiritual power, scattering in all directions. Fortunately, Jason's preparation vessel is the most noble amethyst vessel in the mainland. Otherwise, just the shattering of this 8th level spiritual core would cause ordinary preparation bottles to explode instantly and turn into ashes. The spiritual power contained in the 8th level spiritual core is so powerful that the absorption of the bloodline awakening potion instantly reaches the limit due to the large amount of spiritual power. However, the spiritual power contained in the 8th level spiritual core only consumes 3 points. About 1. A large amount of spiritual power directly evolved into substance, forming dark red mist that spread in Jason's room, forming an extremely surging spiritual power tide. The absolute spirit array constructed by Jason in every corner of the room lit up instantly, and the 99 nodes of the array instantly lit up with silver light, preventing the spiritual power in the 8th level spiritual core from escaping. At the same time, the originally transparent soul-absorbing stone was also frantically absorbing the souls in the air. Elements up. The originally transparent soul-absorbing stone turned into deep red in an instant, but the red substance of the spiritual power mist in the room did not decrease at all. Under normal circumstances, these spiritual powers would dissipate to the surroundings in the air. However, because Jason built a spiritual formation in the room, all the spiritual elements were squeezed into such a small room, with nowhere to vent. Under such circumstances, the excess spiritual gold rushed towards Jason in front of the table, and at the same time continued to pour into Jason's body. Not good. Seeing this situation, Jason was also dumbfounded. Previously, he did not want the people in the mansion to know what happened here, that's why he built the absolute spirit formation, but he didn't expect that it was the 7th level. The bloodline awakening potion of the Imperial Potion is simply unable to absorb the huge energy contained in the 8th order spiritual core. The 8th level Star Flame Tiger Beast is a fire-type spiritual beast. What is contained in its spiritual core is extremely pure fire-type spiritual power. Fire-type spiritual power is also the most violent of all spiritual powers. If it is not right now, this room full of people will. If the fire spiritual power turned into substance takes action, I'm afraid it won't be long before the whole room explodes like an ignited explosive barrel. But at this moment, Jason can no longer care about what he is thinking. He took out all the spirit-absorbing stones he purchased from the space ring and exposed them to the air. At the same time, he sat cross-legged and frantically absorbed the rich spiritual power in the air. Because he had previously prepared 7, the Bloodline Awakening Potion of the 5th level Senior Sect Spiritual Master level, Jason has already exhausted all the spiritual power in his body. Now that the spiritual power enters Jason's body, it is like sweet frost falling on the dry earth. Jason's meridians suddenly felt comfortable. But after a moment, Jason felt something was wrong. The spiritual power contained in the 8th level spiritual core was too powerful. Once it entered Jason's body, Jason needed to it takes a lot of effort to transform it into your own spiritual power. Fortunately, the spiritual god technique is indeed mysterious. Under Jason's continuous operation, 8th level spiritual power can also be absorbed. Under the desperate infusion of a large amount of 8th level spiritual power, Jason, who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, inside his body the spiritual power is constantly filling up at a speed visible to the naked eye. The meridians of levels 1 to 9 are the weakest and are filled first, followed by the meridians of level 1, meridians of level 2, and meridians of level 3. Half an hour later, Jason's meridians of level 5 were also filled with energy. With all the 5th level advanced spiritual power, his unparalleled powerful meridians could already feel a faint sense of swelling and pain. However, the spiritual power in the room was only missing a part, and there was still a large part of the red mist, which was still undulating in the room, trying to squeeze into Jason's body. Feeling the powerful spiritual power pouring into his body from the outside world, Jason set his sights on the entrance of the 6th level meridian at the end of the 5th level meridian. As early as in the secret realm of the spiritual pool, Jason's strength after absorbing the wood spirit orb, he was promoted to the 5th level advanced realm. The crazy training in the past few months has made Jason much stronger than before. In addition, Jason's spiritual consciousness has skyrocketed previously, causing Jason's spiritual consciousness to have already reached the peak of the 5th level. Normally speaking, Jason still needs to practice for several months before he has the strength to challenge a 6th level spiritual master. But under the current situation, the rich spiritual power in the room gave Jason an opportunity to attack the 6th level spiritual master. A gleam suddenly flashed in his eyes. Boom, having made up his mind, Jason's 5th level advanced spiritual power in his body's meridians instantly rushed towards the entrance of his 6th level meridians like a flash flood.